Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this very special fireside chat of the Sri Lanka Internet Day program lineup. This session is about going global with Sri Lankan digital products. When you say exports, when you talk about exports, or for that matter EDB, Export Development Board, we always what comes to our mind is exporting commodities, right? So it could be tea, conventional coconut, rubber, garments, all that, all tangible stuff. So we are quite familiar with those being exported, and Sri Lanka is quite familiar with that. But we rarely talk about intellectual property exports. So, or in other words, in layman terms, digital product exports, right? So, so it's very important for us to understand the potential of our digital products, so that it can boost our national export revenue. Then we need to look at the strategy to empower local ICT products so that those companies can go global and contribute to national export revenues. Finally, we also need to look at the possible challenges that Sri Lanka will face when achieving these strategies and find ways to overcome those. So before I welcome my guest today, I must say a few words about FITIS and EDB as well. So FITIS actually has been very actively supporting the local ICT companies to go global with their digital products in multiple ways, enhancing skills, strengthening the strategies, have been two key areas the FITIS have been focusing. And at the same time, EDB has also been very active, playing a very active role in promoting Sri Lankan digital products in foreign markets. Especially lately, we have seen very active work done by FITIS, especially joining hands with FITIS to emphasize the importance of taking our digital products to global markets. So to discuss all these and more, today I have here with me the chairman of Export Development Board, Mr. Suresh Dimel. Good morning, Suresh.
Good morning, Tikshana.
Right.
Good morning.
Yeah. So, so let me start this chat by asking you a bit of a tricky question. Right? Do you think our ICT products have the potential to boost our national export revenues, in a significant way?
It is a well-known fact that Sri Lanka has exceptional IT talent. We already have good examples of Sri Lankan software companies building world-class software products. For example, the London Stock Exchange software was developed by Millennium IT, which was eventually acquired by LSAG. Then we have a couple of more interesting acquisitions, such as the Hitachi Corporation acquiring Interblocks and Cisco Inc. USA acquiring Cake Labs. Having such a good track record, in software products development, we are confident that Sri Lanka will be able to capitalize on this strength very fast.
Right, right. Yes, I think that's a very good start. And to add to that list, there is another recent exit, which was Nsinga Innovation, acquired by Zilingo fashion brand in Singapore. I think that was a decent exit. And at the same time, we have solid software companies like Boardpack, Micro Image, John Keel's, JKCS, and Zone 24/7. So we have solid software companies which have gone global and made a good name and generating continuous revenue through our digital products. Yeah. That's very encouraging. These are all excellent, software companies or products going global, and building world-class software solutions, right? But if you look at the past 25 years, right, the number of such exceeds, generating export revenue, foreign currency revenue, or the products which are continuously, contributing to our national export revenue. It's not definitely significant enough, especially when you compare the talent, the pool that we have, the strength of the talent we have. As you said, the LSEG, the Millennium Mighty was a company which built a very powerful stock exchange, right? Why can't we have another, company coming up? Do we have to wait another 25 years to see another, company coming up? So these are the questions. So yes, we do have good companies coming up for last 25 years. So it looks definitely, it's not significant enough to justify the talent pool we have. So where do you think? Where did we go wrong? What do you think of that?
Well, I think one key factor is our dependency on IT/BPM service-based income. With our limited talent pool, it will be extremely challenging to achieve high export revenue targets from IT/BPM service sector alone. So we need to put extra efforts to build strong software products which can go global.
Right. Actually, you raised a very, very valid point here. In fact, it is quite evident when you look at other countries with much smaller talent pool. Smaller than Sri Lanka, right? Even the population-wise, very small, but naturally the IT talent pool also becomes quite small. There are classic examples where with such a small talent pool, they generate huge digital product export revenue. So definitely we can learn a lot from these countries, right? So for example, Estonia, a small country below Finland, their GDP was US dollar 5,790 in 1999. GDP per capita was 5,790 in 1993. Small population, all right, but still, they managed to take it up to a staggering 40,000 USD, GDP per capita, 40,000 by 2019. That's absurd in a way, right? Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why they could do that was they were highly focused. They put very high focus, onto empowering their ICT ecosystem industry. So they managed to build a very powerful ICT ecosystem, and now they are a strong exporter a strong exporter of digital products, equipment, and most importantly, e-governance platforms. Very niche market, right? Very niche market, but they are very, very strong. So then we have more advanced countries like Israel, Finland, who has a smaller IT talent pool, but still huge. Now Israel is contribute. I think ICT contribution is over 21 billion dollars to their revenue, the national export revenue. So we can learn a lot from that, right? So yeah. So if we get our act right, for sure we can get the ICT export revenue to do a major boost out to our national economy. That's for sure, right? But then again, it's all said and done. I mean, you can say it looks very simple, but we all know it's not going to be easy. It's quite challenging, right? So especially awakening an industry of this magnitude is not an easy task. It's quite challenging. So we need a solid strategy. I'm sure EDB is working on such a strong strategy. So from EDB point of view, what's the strategy to empower local ICT companies to go global? What do you think of that? What sort of a strategy you have?
Yeah. The strategy involves three aspects: to standardize the local software products, then create local opportunities for this software, and finally we need to open foreign market access to these local companies.
Right. Yes, I think this sounds familiar. I think this strategy is quite similar to what Malaysia implemented a few years ago. I think it's a very tested, proven strategy because you have to identify the local companies and empower them, so that they can go global. So that's a must. And uplifting the standards, very important. I think that's extremely important. And help once the software standards are lifted to the international standards, and then they got to have a solid local reference base, right? So they have to find local buyers first. Otherwise, you can't go global and ask foreign buyers to go for it without having a solid local presence. So it is definitely a need to increase the export revenues of ICT products. So what is the action plan of EDB to make this strategy, what you explained, the strategy a success? What sort of action plan EDB has to make it a reality? Let me put it that way.
Yeah. We have already joined hands with FITIS to support their timely initiative in introducing a software certification framework. I think the entire ICT industry needs to rally around this and support this national cause. Next, we closely work with local industry bodies such as FITIS and SLASCOM to open up foreign market access to local ICT companies. At the same time, it is very important that local industry bodies like FITIS and SLASCOM take initiatives to support our local software. to build strong local presence. If our software products don't have strong local presence, it will not be easy for them to go global. So as a nation, it is our responsibility to support local software products at all levels.
Right, right. Yes, indeed, indeed. I mean, the action plan looks quite practical, and I think we have to. I mean, I have to say, because I've been involved with EDB and FITIS, especially in the intellectual property domain. So, the EDB work, especially recently, the EDB's work towards supporting the local ICT companies to go global is really commendable. I have to say that, and it's very encouraging to see EDB understanding the complexities, because an organization which has been heavily doing supporting the commodity exports, it's not easy to to understand this kind of digital or intellectual property export type of strategies. So it's really encouraging to see EDB understanding these complexities, grooming Sri Lankan ICT products to go global. So it's very important, that grooming part, because not everybody can go global. You got to get them to standards, support them to get local presence, as you said in your strategy, and open up access to global markets. That's very important. At the same time, I think one very important point we need to probably highlight here, the NIPO, the National Intellectual Property Office, right? That is also coming under same ministry, Ministry of Trade, that's a big advantage, because that is where the real intellectual property value can really boosted with the support of NIPO and the EDB. We can, the two institutions can collectively make the software certification process or the project a huge success, because it's very important identifying the intellectual property, the value of the intellectual property, and once you give the value, then take them to global, right? So it's a collaborative effort. It should be a collaborative effort in my opinion. So then at the same time, I think I should also mention recently I've been personally involved with this effort with EDB, as you know, EDB's effort to take open up opportunities for local companies to go global by introducing them through Sri Lankan missions. I think that's a very powerful tool. As you know, we have so many missions all over the world, Sri Lankan missions. EDB has been playing very active role to promote Sri Lankan ICT products in various parts of the world through the missions. I think that's fantastic, because we are not a country which has huge funding to do massive marketing like the big players, European or American, Western countries. So I'm sure we can take this to the next level. Especially these kind of promotional efforts can be taken to the next level by once the COVID mess kind of settles down and international travel comes back to normalcy, right? So so I think that is something I had to mention here. So so if I may go to my next question. What are the challenges that you see when trying to implement such an exponential growth strategy to Sri Lankan ICT industry? Because it affects the ICT industry itself, right? So what are the challenges you foresee?
Increasing the ICT product base export revenue is not a short-term objective.
Yes, indeed.
It needs a good strategy and execution. Most of all, it needs support from all segments, both from public and private sectors. This can help Sri Lankan digital products to build a good local presence. As you said before, the local software products cannot go global without strong local presence.
There you go.
At the same time, another big challenge we see in this industry is lack of financial support.
True.
As you know, the government has taken various measures to financially support local ICT companies during these challenging times. And EDB is also actively supporting the local companies to attract foreign investments through Sri Lankan missions. If we could overcome these challenges, I am sure our ICT industry could boost the national export revenue effectively.
Right, right. Yes, I think indeed it is. I think it's very important to identify, now that you talked about the government support, right? Especially recently, the government introduced this local preferential scheme for local software companies, local software products. So that government procurement, when government institutions procure software, you got to give the preference to a local company. That was that amazing initiative. I mean, the whole industry really liked it, because that is a big boost. I think that directly affects what you said earlier, the second point, the second strategy point, where you need to create a local presence, right? Give opportunities for local software before they go global. I mean, before you export, you got to have solid presence, right? Unlike tea or garments or whatever the products, commodities, which can be tested by very defined standards, and it's if it is good, it's good, right? So I mean, in layman terms, I'm not a expert in those. So but intellectual property, very tricky, very tricky. You got to have solid presence. First of all, the local presence has to be there. Without that, it's going to be very tough. So yeah, I mean, if this local preferential scheme, if that is implemented correctly, it can ensure actually all government institutions, using these local software companies to fulfill their unique software requirements. So that can really boost, on one hand, the government expenditure will cut down. Not only that, when you buy locally, you the one thing you don't see is it saves a lot of our foreign currency, right? Usually we buy a lot of software from foreign countries where you can buy same software locally. So that saves foreign currency going out of the country, and at the same time it supports the entire industry. I mean, this is exactly what a country like Estonia did, when it comes to e-governance. So that's very interesting point you raised. And talking about the financial support, I think you raised that as well. I need to pitch in a little bit there. So because when it comes to financial support, I think there's you rightly said that definitely there's a fundamental issue there. Let me highlight it to the audience so that they understand it in deeper sense, because it's very important that the root cause behind the whole thing is about there is no mechanism in our financial system to recognize intellectual property as a key asset class in finance. right? So I mean that has to happen. Otherwise, innovators, entrepreneurs, when they come up with ideas, they got to go after so many people to take it to the take the first step. So there has to be a mechanism in the system to identify the intellectual property, so that they can raise funds for a good idea, powerful intellectual property, right? So that's very important. I think government is already discussing at various levels. I'm sure, hope and pray something will come out very soon. So let's hope for the best, right? So that's all what we can say. And hope things will work out for the betterment of the industry. So let me ask you. I think we are a bit of short on the time as well, but I think it's unfair to the audience if I don't ask about the whole the program, the event. I think for the first time in Sri Lanka, we are witnessing a fully online Sri Lanka Internet Day, which is a fantastic effort by FITIS and digital chapter of FITIS. I was really impressed by the whole efforts done for this event, and 2 days full of content. What's your personal opinion about the Sri Lanka Internet Day?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate those who organized this, because I think it's a fantastic initiative. I think events like this will create so much awareness that is so necessary, so that the public will celebrate ICT,
Yes.
and more people will get into this and understand what opportunities there are in the ICT industry.
Exactly.
I think we in Sri Lanka especially, we need to celebrate our industries more and more.
Exactly.
Because I think we have that's the inspiration that is necessary to go forward.
I think that's very refreshing. That's really refreshing, and it's been really wonderful. I think we are running out of time, so it's wonderful to have this very special fireside chat with you. Thank you so much, Suresh. So until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you, Diksha.
Okay.
Thank you.